Does anyone knows what is a GitHub? So now you understood. So this is the GitHub. So we are creating a repository and we are working on this GitHub repository. So what is a Git? So I'm just showing what is Git and GitHub. Okay, I will tell you the brief introduction about what is a Git and GitHub. Okay, yeah. So this is the ls cd ds git file git log. Yeah, he's right. So this is nothing but a Git GUI. What this is? So this is a Git GUI, something like a head main. So something like a, what is this main? Git log, commit, author, date. What this is? So this is nothing but a Git CLI, and so what this is? This is a Git GitHub. What this is? This is a GitHub.com. So this is the GitHub. So we are creating the repositories and pushing your changes from local to. So I will tell you guys these two. Okay. So for example, developers guys. So so developers are working from. So for example, these four developers are working from. So first, what is a version control system, right? So what is version control system? I will tell you. You will get the clarity about what is version control system, what is Git, so what is Git Bitbucket, something like, right, guys? So these are the people. What? 1 second, guys. So for example, these are the developers, guys. So what these are? Understood, right? So these are the developers. What these are? These all are the developers. This guy is working from Hyderabad. This guy is working from UK. Okay. This guy is working from USA. This guy is working from Pune, for example. Okay. These four are the developers. So they want to they want to develop the code, right? So what they will do, something like the first point is, so this guy is developer the code, this guy is developer the code, and this guy is developer the code, this guy is developer the code. So how to integrate all the developers code at one place? This is what this is. How to integrate all the developers code at one place. All the developers code at one place. And the second question is how to track code changes, how to track the code changes in the project, in the project. So something like a, who modified who modified so something like a, when modified, what modified, and why modified. These guys, so the first problem is how to integrate the all the developer code at one place. For example, this guy is wrote some code, this guy also wrote some code, and this guy also wrote some code, this guy also wrote some code. So how to integrate all these developers code at one place? So this is the one dollar mark question. How we can integrate, guys? So what you can do, something like we need a one storage space to push that code, all the developers code push at one place. What that is? So that is a what that is, guys? That is nothing but a GitHub. So that is nothing but a GitHub. That GitHub is nothing but a centralized repository. So where we can store the code, where we can store all the code in the GitHub repository. In the GitHub repository. Yes, understood? So how we can push that code from the how we can push the code from here to here? So by using Git client. What is that, guys? So by using a Git GUI client, Git CLI, Git client. So this is also Git client. So this is also Git client. Sorry, Git client. So this is also a Git client. So what this is, guys, what is a GitHub repository? So this is the GitHub repository. In this GitHub repository, they are pushing their code from their laptop to central repository, to the remote repository. What this is? This is a remote repository. Remote repository. So what is the repository name? For example, in the GitHub repository, you are working for the Citibank. For example, Citibank is the repository. What is that? Citibank is the repository. In the Citibank repository, so whatever the developers developing that code, right? They can push it to the they can push it from the local to remote. So local to remote. So what is the local client, guys? What is the local Git client? How they can push from local Git to remote Git? So this is the local Git. So from here to whatever the developer develop that code, right? So from here to they will push that code from the remote repository. Where they can push it? They can push it to the remote repository. The remote repository should be either GitHub, GitLab, or a Bitbucket. So what is that, guys? So all are a Git repository tool. So what this is the GitLab and Bitbucket. What is that, guys? Bitbucket. Understood? So we can push the code from your local to either Bitbucket or a GitLab or a GitHub or a GitHub. Yes, understood? Guys, now you understood? Yeah. So what is a version control system? So now you understood a layman language. So what is a Git? How we can push their code from a local repository to a remote repository. So right. So why we need this? How to track code changes in the project tree? Who can? So why we need a Git, guys? Git will Git will track the changes. Tracking means who modified the code, when modified the code, what modified, why modified. Because of the tracking purpose, Git provides a tracking mechanism. So why we are using Git? Git is a tracking mechanism. Okay. So now you understood, guys. So what is a version control system or a source code management tool? So what is that? Git is a version control system or a source code management tool. So what is version control system or a source code management tool? So what is source code management tool or a version control system? Version control system. What is that, guys? Multiple developers will work for a project, right? So multiple developer will work project project development. This is the multiple developer. So this multiple developer will work for the project. So which project? Citibank project. Okay. Developers developers will be working from multiple locations. So where they are working from? In our cases, they are working from UK, USA, Pune, and Hyderabad. Okay. So the all developers will work from multiple locations. And all developers code should be stored at one place. All developers code should be stored at one place. All developers code should be stored at one place. So all developers code should be place it, store at one place. So now you understood all developers, all developers code should be stored at one place. Here we are storing all the developers codes, all the developers code. Yes, understood? And to integrate, what is that? To integrate all the developers, all the developers source code at one place. Okay. So we will use source code. We will use source code repository, softwares, use source code repository softwares like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Bitbucket, and from AWS Cloud, AWS Repo, Azure Repo, and etc. So now you understood, guys? To integrate all the developers code at one place, so we will use the source code repository software like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, AWS Repo, all these. Yes, now you understood? Or we can store the data either GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. So Bitbucket. Guys, now you understood? So what is version control system and source code management tool? So version control should be two types. So one is a centralized version control system and distributed version control system. So what is centralized version control system? What is a distributed version control system? I will tell you. Yeah. So there are two types of version control systems. One is a centralized version control system. The other one is distributed version control system. Understood, guys? So centralized version control system and distributed version control system. In the centralized version control system, there is only one server. There is only one server, one remote server. So and the working copy. So in your local, you should commit the code from your local to server, local to server, local to server. Right? So if something goes wrong on the server, the code will be lost. The code will be losing. So that's the reason a distributed version control system came. So in this distributed version control system, so we have a local repository and remote repository. What is that? You have a local repository and a remote repository. Same like as here, you see, so main, this is a Durgasoft Git 5 main. This is the local repository, and yeah, this is DS Git 5. So this is the remote repository. So you have a local repository, you have a remote repository, as well as local repository. Your code should be in two places. If something goes wrong on the If something goes wrong on the local repository, so we have a code in the remote repository. If something goes wrong on the local repository, so we have a code on the remote repository. So this is the this is the advantage of the distributed version control system. Yes, we understood? This is the advantage of the distributed version control system. You understood? Yeah, here I will show you. Yeah, you see. So this is a local repository and this is the remote repository. So remote repository should be the GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Azure Repo, AWS Repo. These are the remote repositories. This is the local repository. Your code should be in the local repository as well as remote repository. Yes, understood? So now we understood the what is source code management tool or version control system. There are two types of version control system. There are two types of control system. There are two types of version control system. One is centralized version control system. Other one is a distributed version control system. So understood, guys. So what is a Git? So now you understood the version control system, how we can track, why version control system for tracking and everything, right? Now